Good morning and welcome to today's virtual webinar, which is being held in conjunction with CPI Media Group, 4Sight and HUAWEI. My name is Mark Forker and I'm the editor of CNME, which is the region's leading enterprise and IT B2B magazine. I'm delighted to be afforded the opportunity to conduct today's session, which will explore the capabilities that are presented by intelligent infrastructure and how next generation technologies such as cloud, big data, and AI are empowering businesses to meet the evolving demands of its customers. Today, we'll also hear more about the key partnership between technology leaders HUAWEI and Intel. Before we kickstart today's session, I'd like to give attendees who are joining us this morning a quick run through of our agenda. Anil Misri and Tajinder Pal Singh from 4Sight will give a brief overview of their partnership with HUAWEI. Then Dia Ahmed Basuni, the Channel Director of HUAWEI Enterprise Business Group here in the UAE, will deliver a welcome note and highlight some of the key achievements the ICT vendor has made in the region over the last number of years. We will then have a customer testimonial on HUAWEI's IT products from Osman Azir Malik, Head of Data Center Operations at the Rulers Representative Court in Al Ain. Our first presentation of the day will be conducted by Michelle Abu Diwan, Regional Alliances Director, Intel for the Middle East, Turkey, Africa and Eastern European region. Michelle will discuss the collaboration between Intel and HUAWEI and will tell us about the capabilities of its XEON scalable platform. Our next presentation will then be conducted by Neeraj Sharma. He's the Senior Solutions Manager at HUAWEI here in the UAE, and he will tell us all about the all-flash era OceanStor Dorado V6. And then following the conclusion of Neeraj's presentation, I will then moderate a panel discussion with Dia, Sudhir and Michelle, which will focus on HUAWEI's intelligent infrastructure. So without further ado, I'll now hand you over to Anil and Tajinder from 4Sight to begin today's webinar. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, and good morning, all of you. First of all, I would like to thank everyone, all the presenter, customers, and HUAWEI team to join this session this morning. So I'm here. My name is Tajinder Singh. I manage the sales for 4Sight Abu Dhabi, and just to give you the brief about the 4Sight, I hope that most of the people you have already heard about the 4Sight. 4Sight is a part of the Bin Hamuda Group, and we are headquartered in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, and we are one of the leading partner of HUAWEI in the region. And today, I proudly say, we are the #1 partner for HUAWEI from last so many years, and dedicated sales and pre-sales team and offices across the UAE. So, but we have office in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, dedicated sales, pre-sales team. And just to share with you, the more than sales and pre-sales, we have invested in our delivery team, who's presented across the UAE. And today we are the only value-added partner in the country. Yeah. So I have Anil also with me. He's my colleague. Maybe you would like to add something on it. Yeah.
Good morning to the team. Good morning to the customers. Good morning to the HUAWEI people who have joined us for this webinar today. It's my privilege to welcome all of you for this session, which is, to my understanding, is going to be quite informative, because we have people from Intel, we have people from HUAWEI talking about the technology and going forward, what's going to be the role of technology into our lives. The current situation which we all are in have given us new norms, and I'm sure with HUAWEI's experience and with Intel backing us up, we will have definitely some roadmap for you to really look for. I hope you will have a good view at whatever IT products we are going to talk about as of now, and I hope you all will enjoy the webinar and you all will give us a positive feedback about that. Thank you.
Okay, Tajinder and Anil, thanks very much for that. Really appreciate that. Nice little good way to start the session with a brief overview from 4Sight. I'm going to hand you over now to Dia Ahmed Basuni. He's the Channel Director of Enterprise Business Group at HUAWEI here in the UAE. So I'll hand you over to Dia now for his welcome speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us today in this series of technology days that we organize with our partner 4Sight. We are organizing those events to reach out to you you, the customer and prospects, to update you about Huawei latest technology innovation across our different product line. Today, our topic is about IT, where we'd like to share with you our latest updates about our alliance with Intel. And we will be also excited to share with you the latest news about Huawei Dorado all-flash storage, our star product, which is raising the bar for all similar offering available in the market. Before beginning, I would like to welcome our distinguished guest and thanks our distinguished guest, Mr. Osman Malik from Al Ain Diwan Rulers Court, who will also be sharing with us his experience with Huawei. So thank you very much, Osman, for being with us today. Huawei has been established in 1987 in Shenzhen, China, as a telco equipment manufacturer. But today, Huawei is a totally different company than the company that was created by our chairman, Mr. Rain, in 1987. We are a global player in ICT. Last month, we jumped 11 spots in Fortune 500 list. We are now ranked number 49, thanks to our revenue growth of 22% and our profit growth of 27% year over year. Huawei today is split into 3 business groups. The first business group is the consumer business group, who again, I'm very excited to share with you the updates that in Q2 2020, we took this number 1 spot as worldwide supplier of mobile handset. After 9 years of dominance of other competitor, we took over the realm and we are the number 1 thanks to our innovation and product. Consumer business group also have a wide range of product from tablet, laptop, watches, and other IoT consumer devices. Carrier Network Business Group, of course, this is the origin of all this, is the leader providing telco solution to operators with a clear leadership in 5G space. Last but not least, the Enterprise Business Group, responsible for providing enterprise customers with compute, storage, connectivity, and cloud solution that help them in their digital transformation journey. Here I would like to stress on our core values, and there are 2 core values that I would like to share with you. First, customer focus. Our dedication to customer cannot be questioned, and we are a company that's very proud to be customer-centric. And one feedback that we always receive and we really appreciate from our customer is that they appreciate our dedication to them. We spare no effort to support our customer during the whole life cycle of any project where we partner together with our customer. Our commitment to innovation is second to none. And some of the figures displayed in front of you shows how much we are committed to innovation and R&D. More than half of our employees are dedicated to R&Ds. Our spending, we spend over the past decade, $85 billion US. We have so many patents registered, and we are on the top 10 supplier of patents worldwide. Digital transformation is a very interesting term. We face it every day. Whether you are a customer or a vendor, you have to have a plan to embrace the digital transformation or you will be left behind. In the next slide, I would like to share with you Huawei digital transformation cornerstones and how it's linked to our solution development, design, delivery to the market. So our first step, modernize and standardize. This is key because we cannot rely on legacy old infrastructure to move to the next era. Once we modernize and standardize, we will be able to virtualize and automate our services to our end customers. Once we do step 1 and 2, we'll be faced with a challenge, which is the explosion of the service deployment and the explosion of the data coming into our data center that we need to handle to be able to deliver the service. And this is where AI play a crucial role here to be able to manage this flow of information. Once we put everything in order, now comes to the experience. There are so many services, so many requirements, so many engagement where we need to link all this in one seamless, transparent user experience to the end user. Those are the 4 steps that we undertake in every plan and deployment that we go with the customer to deploy additional transformation project with him. Without any further delay, I will hand over the mic to Mark to introduce the next guest. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Dia. That was a great insight into the success and the innovation that is really at the core of what Huawei do. So thank you very much for that, and I'll speak to you later for our panel discussion. I'm now going to invite Osman Azir Malik. He is the head of data center operations at the Rulers Representative Court in Al Ain to provide customer testimonial on Huawei's IT products. So over to you, Osman. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Thank you. Yes, hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the Huawei team for giving me the opportunity to share my experience by choosing their solution, and all of you to be here today. Thank you very much. My name is Osman Azir. I am the head of data center operations at Rulers Representative Court, Al Ain region. Our organization is a government entity based in Al Ain, United Arab Emirates. So last year we planned upgrading our servers and storage because the 14 TB of raw storage with 9 TB of usable space was not sufficient for future growth. The enterprise application environment has become increasingly unpredictable as the underlying IT infrastructure keeps growing in complexity and size. Mission critical business application performance is highly sensitive to storage performance and latency. The most identified storage challenges for our organization were data protection, high availability, rapid unexpected data growth, performance, and hardware cost. So we started receiving proposals. We received proposals from different vendors offering their solutions of all flash and hybrid storage, with everyone claiming to be the best in the industry. After going through the proposals, we realized that where there was performance, space, and scalability, there was an increased cost of ownership. And when there was a reduction in cost, it became with a decrease in performance, space, and scalability. So some friends from another government entity who were already using Huawei products, so they recommended us going with Huawei, like giving a chance to Huawei. So we contacted the Huawei sales team, and after meeting with them and understanding our requirements, they introduced us to their partner 4Sight. So we had a meeting with the technical team from 4Sight, and after analyzing the current infrastructure and going through everything, they provided us with the best upgrade options from Huawei. It was really surprising that the proposal from Huawei for all flash storage and server was lower in cost than SAS storage and servers provided by other major vendors in the region. So the proposal involved replacing the current storage to a Huawei OceanStor Dorado storage, all flash storage, with 38 TB of raw storage space, and replacing the current physical servers with Huawei 1228H V5 servers. The project scope was to mount all the new equipment on a new rack in the data center, establishing connectivity with the switches, installation of the required operating system, and then migration from the old servers to the new servers. So once the migration was successful and tested, the old servers and storage were supposed to be shifted to the DR site and mounted to a Huawei Fusion Module 800. solution. The Huawei Fusion Module 800 is a next generation data center solution that is smart and compact with integrated power distribution, UPS, monitoring, cooling, and rack systems into a converged rack to save space and cost. So although we met some challenges during the implementation and migration, but they were successfully sorted out by the professional technical team from 4Sight. Now, speaking about our experience after successful procurement of storage servers and the integrated data center from Huawei, the most amazing experience is the performance of servers. As we use Microsoft Hyper-V, so Microsoft Hyper-V is the backbone of our virtualization environment. It is highly compatible with the storage and servers. Previously, we used to experience the virtual machines, I mean to say the virtual servers hanging up or running out of resources and automatically migrating to another server, sometimes causing outage of services. But after the upgrade, we do not face any such issues. In addition, the migration of a role or storage from one node to another just takes seconds. Backups are faster due to the all-flash storage. Rebooting the servers is very fast. Creating a virtual machine and assigning storage can be done in a matter of seconds. Replication of servers to the DR, to the disaster site is also very fast. In addition, you know, the Huawei OceanStor is scalable to support up to 16 controllers, ensuring future storage expansion. Huawei's implementation of RAID DB technologies allows up to 3 simultaneous disk failures without causing loss to data and enabling fast rebuild of data with hot spare space spread across all the disk volumes. So the hot spare space is actually spread across all disk volumes. The smart dedupe and smart compression technologies provide three times data reduction because of the compression. So you ensure maximum utilization of your storage space. The Hypermetro feature is another amazing feature from Huawei. So Hypermetro feature, which is licensed by default with the Huawei storage. So it enables active high availability solution between all OceanStor systems. So whether you have an OceanStor system, in your main data center, or you have it in the DR, they ensure high availability between OceanStor systems, different OceanStor systems that are 100 kilometers apart. So if one array fails, Hypermetro will switch the failed array workload to the redundant array immediately. Or if a link between an array or a host fails, Hypermetro will direct the host to the redundant array to provide uninterrupted data access. So Huawei Dorado storage gives you data protection, high availability, rapid expansion, performance at very affordable cost, which no other manufacturer dares to compete at the moment. I highly recommend Huawei servers and storage. No other manufacturer offers you a better return of investment than Huawei at the moment. I am very thankful to the Huawei team and 4Sight team for their valuable and continued support. And thank you everybody to be here today. Thank you. I'll get back to Mark. Thank you.
Thank you, Osman, and thanks for articulating in forensic detail how Huawei's IT products have helped you transform your entire storage operations and the incredible high performance of their servers. That was an excellent presentation. I think everyone will have enjoyed that. So thanks for your time, Osman. Now it's time for the first presentation of the day. So I'd like to introduce Michelle Abu Diwan, the Regional Alliances Director for Intel. He covers the Middle East, Turkey, Africa, and Eastern European region, and he's going to be discussing the XEON scalable platform. So over to you, Michelle.
Okay, so thank you, Mark, again, and hello to our partners and to our global partners, and welcome to our webinars today. First of all, I really hope you and your families are still keeping safe and healthy. So to introduce again myself very quickly, my name is Michel Aboudiwan, and I'm part of the global account team at Intel, managing Huawei as an account, and I'm covering Middle East, Turkey, Africa, and Eastern Europe. And I'm very pleased today to be part of this webinar with Huawei and 4Sight. So to start with, as you can see on the slide, Huawei has been a very strategic customer and a very strong partner for Intel. So what we can see here is that the collaboration started in 2001, almost 20 years ago, and the collaboration started in areas and is covering areas such as enterprise data center, computing, public cloud, and network infrastructure. Also, not to forget that from the consumer side, the achievements and the work we've done with Huawei also on their MateBook for their laptops, and of course on the IoT side with the gateways as well. So as I mentioned, the journey started in 2001 by signing a strategic partnership with R&D server efforts to develop servers. Then in 2017, we signed an MOU to accelerate HPC innovation, the high performance computing. At that time, Huawei had expertise and they were ready to move into the high performance computing, and this is where the innovation started. Then in 2018, Huawei launched their first Intel Select solution for their Fusion Sphere and Fusion Storage in Huawei Connect. Then in 2019, after the Intel data-centric innovation product launch, Huawei Intelligent Computing held a launch ceremony in Beijing and launched their Fusion Server Pro, the Fusion Server Pro intelligent servers that are running on our second-gen Intel Xeon processors, and of course our persistent memory, Intel Optane persistent memory. So Huawei Cloud also part of this journey. They also released their new C6 and S6 instances that are also running on our second-gen processors. So on moving on this one, on this slide, I wanted to give you a look and feel. So if you see here, the collaboration that we have is, so the collaboration with Huawei is, as you can see, it covers a full spectrum of products. So from if you look on the left-hand side where the converged is pointing, so this is a hyper-converged infrastructure with the Fusion Cube solution. Then if you look on the right-hand side to scale out with the Fusion Server Pro solution for large data center deployments, and to scale up with the mission-critical servers they have with the Kunlun offering. So within this offering from Huawei, you will see there is a lot of Intel technology consumed. If you look down at the bottom bar, you will see there all Intel ingredients and components. So all of those components are consumed by Huawei in their products. So, to name few of them, of course, our Xeon processors, the most important ones, our fabrics, Intel, our Ethernet, Intel Optane SSDs or Intel Optane persistent memory, our silicon photonics, our FPGAs, and you name it. So mainly Huawei is consuming those products and innovating with Intel so they can deliver those optimized platform for enterprise, for telco, and for any other workloads that are relevant. Okay, so Recently in last year, so Intel, we launched our new second generation XEON scalable processors, and some of you may know them as Cascade Lake refresh. The Cascade Lake was our second gen. This is the refresh, so you will see probably sometimes some SKUs or part numbers that are ending with R, and this is how you can identify that those are the second gen processors. Now, the main purpose of the slide, I wanted to put it here just to show the collaboration between Intel and Huawei. And as you can see here, it's not that we cover the server portfolio, but we cover the whole server portfolio of Huawei. And, you know, from rack servers to blade servers to high density servers or mission critical devices to any full liquid cooling solutions. So with our components, Huawei again is able to adopt our technology and work with us, you know, hand in hand, so we can deliver our products in their solutions, and they can innovate and of course deliver to their end users. So on this slide here, when I mentioned before our second generation processor, Cascade Lake R, you know, if you look at why we call it, you know, the scalable, and some people, they ask us about this scalable, you know, terminology, but the scalable advantage mainly here is to make it easier for our customers to choose the right systems and to deploy more consistent infrastructure with the ability to evolve as their need grow. So if you look from bronze to silver to gold or even to platinum, where platinum deliver, you know, the highest level of performance, security, agility, and efficiency, and of course bronze will be able to deliver less of those features for entry-level servers or a workload that are not CPU hungry. So what we add with this, of course, is you know, our support for groundbreaking memory innovation. So we'll come into with this shortly with our Intel Optane persistent memory, and this with the Cascade Lake refresh and the Cascade Lake, we're able to deliver those products. And of course, with our new embedded artificial intelligence acceleration with Intel deep learning boost capabilities and our hardware enhanced security. So on this slide here, to give you, you know, a little bit of meat on from our CPU performance. So it's a bit probably crowded with data, but the main key points to take from this second generation XEON scalable processors, that they will get more mainstream performance. This is as the first feature or the first benefit that they will see. So an average of 36% of generation improvement, and the last generation was only 1 year ago. So imagine in 1 year ago we were able to deliver 36 performance on mainstream on our mainstream. And of course, we're able to deliver industry-leading frequency for peak performance. So we're talking about 3.9 gigahertz in normal mode and up to 4.5 gigahertz in turbo, and up to 44% more cache on the new SKUs released. Last but not least, from dollar point of view and from performance per price point of view, we are offering an average of 42% improvement generation over generation. And this is all, you know, delivered at equal or lower price, which is really amazing, you know. So if you try and compare them with the other generation of last year, you know, so we're delivering the same at equal price. So on this slide here, why I put this slide is to go to the Optane and you know, educate you a little bit on the Optane, so you understand this new breakthrough innovation for memory and storage from Intel. So if you look at this pyramid here, the top of it is where the DRAM sits, and the bottom is where let's call it our hard disk drive sits. And of course, you know, the top of the pyramid is closer to the CPU. So let's, you know, take that the CPU is on top. And of course, the DRAM is closer to the CPU. So the caching is, you know, on the CPU is the closest. Then you have the DRAM here, and then you go down in the pyramid. Then you have the hard disk. So there was a gap in between here where Intel found this gap, and they decided that, hey, we need to fill this gap, and we need to try to see how we can you know, put this data closer to our CPU. And this is where Intel, they came up with this Intel Optane technology that is based on our 3D crosspoint technology. And of course, we have two products of Intel Optane SSD and Intel Optane persistent memory. And also we have our normal QLC 3D and NAND SSDs. Okay, so if we try to look, this is the product as you see it here. So of course, the SSD is an SSD shape, but this is here a PCI Express slot. And this Optane persistent memory, as I mentioned earlier, is able to deliver this breakthrough memory innovation where it can consolidate workloads. You can displace DRAM. We know DRAM is very expensive, and supply is sometimes an issue. And this is here where you can very easily replace RAMs in your servers and replace them with Intel Optane to improve TCO. You can offer also affordable and on-module encryption. And of course, it's really a breakthrough in innovation. So highly recommended that you check this product, and please feel free to reach out to your Huawei rep for more information. So this is what I have my slides for today. So at the end, I would like to leave with a thought statement, you know, that Huawei will always be a very important partner for Intel, and we will continue our joint marketing, promotion, and ecosystem build out. We believe through our close collaboration, our customers will be able to enjoy the latest and greatest technology offering from Huawei and Intel. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. That was an absolutely brilliant presentation. What a journey of innovation and partnership Intel has embarked upon with Huawei since signing that strategic agreement in 2001. I'll be speaking to you later during the panel discussion, and I'm sure we'll talk more about what you discussed during your presentation. But for now, thank you very much, Michelle, and I'll see you a little bit later on. Our next presentation will be conducted by Niraj Sharma. He's the Senior Solutions Manager at Huawei in the UAE here, and he will tell us a little bit about the all-flash era OceanStor Dorado V6. So thank you, Niraj.
Good morning, everyone. So today I'm going to talk about the data storage solution. So first of all, thank you everyone who is attending. And I'm Niraj Sharma. I'm the Senior Solution Manager within Huawei for IT. And in IT, we are primarily talking about the data storage. That is the key. That is a strategic portfolio that we carry. And I would like to take you through. So hope it is useful. And by end of the slides, you are able to grab some cool benefits that Dorado can bring to you. So without further delay, I'll straight away jump into the presentation. So why we are talking about storage today? Why it is suddenly so important about storage? We are into an era of data explosion, right? We are talking about such huge amount of data being generated. And this type of data is being generated because the technologies that have become, that are disruptive technologies that have become available to each one of us now, called 5G, cloud, as well as AI. And Huawei, as a company, we are focused on all three of them to bring the best out of the breed technology to you. Now, on your right-hand side, you can see what these technologies have translated into in form of different use cases. For example, for 5G, 8K, or virtual reality, we are talking about 100 billion plus connections today for IoT. We are talking about 30 times more the traffic that it used to have. In terms of an enterprise IT, we are talking about petabyte level of data now, which was a few years back, it was only terabytes. For autonomous driving, we are talking about 64 terabyte of daily training data that is being generated. For a fully digital connected factory, we are talking about 1 petabyte of data. That's massive. Yeah. So all this data that is being generated has to give us some benefit, right? It has to bring some value add to our businesses. So what we are moving into with this new data growth, explosive data growth, we are moving from being data informed to be data driven. So now with all this huge amount of data, we are turning that into a very relevant information, and we are making data driven experiences. We are building data driven, we are making data driven decisions and building data driven processes. So all of that will help the company's growth, company's business plan and expansion plans by adapting to the change much faster than their respective competitions. Yeah. So that's where Huawei is taking the world to into a fully intelligent world. Now, why we are talking about while we are talking about storage, it's obvious that we are talking about our Huawei OceanStor series, and that's something that's not a new name in the industry today. We have been into storage research and development for last 18 years. We started in 2002, and over the past few years, we have done some amazing innovations, and we brought some innovating technologies to the customers' data centers. Now, last year in 2019, we came up with first AI-enabled storage, first high-end storage that has a dedicated artificial intelligence chip sitting inside. What that is doing, I'll bring that to you in a couple of minutes. First, let's talk about research and development. As I said, research and development is one of the key areas for any product to become more robust, more reliable, and bring the best out of the hardware for our customers. So this is a 2018 industrial R&D investment scorecard on your screens now, which shows Huawei was ranked number 5 with an investment of 11.33 billion euros in research and development, and that's a massive number. And our CEO, Mr. Ren, has clear directions to the board that for the next 10 years, at least 15% of the total annual revenue should be invested back into the business in the form of research and development. Now that 15% might look small, but you look at the size of Huawei, which is today around $120 billion. So 15% of that is $18 billion. That's a huge number. Yeah, so $18 billion we are investing into the business to make sure we are bringing the best of the breed technology to you. Where is that huge amount of money going? What are we doing with that $18 billion or so? Yeah, we have a powerful data storage centers worldwide. We are a Chinese company. Our base is within China. So we have about 4 to 5 R&D centers that are based in China for storage. And then rest of them are global. So you can see Moscow, you can see Munich, Paris, Bangalore in India, you can see the States. So we are very much global in our research and development. We are not confined within China. And that's one thing which brings the best out of us, right? We are going to places where the technology is ahead of the curve, and we are putting our investment there. For example, the cloud storage. We know the cloud storage is slightly advanced or more mature in a market like States. So we are going there and putting our investment for the research and development. So that's how the company has a very, very clear roadmap to bring out the research and development efforts into a global space. Now, obviously, it's not less to emphasize that research and development. If the more research and development we do, the best products, I would say, and the more growth we see with our customers. The number of customers we have globally now has increased tremendously. Now that's about the R&D, but whether that translated into numbers or not, that's again another interesting question. Now, if you look at your screen now, you will see 3 graphs talking about the global storage revenue, in which we are number 4 today. If you talk about the storage revenue in China, we are by far number 1. And if you look at the global all-flash storage revenue growth for any vendor, we are exceeding the competition in a very, very big way. So we are growing at a very fast rate when it comes to all-flash. And Mr. Usman gave a wonderful insight into how Huawei All Flash can bring the best for you, how it can help you achieve the ROI as well as get you the best products. Now that's about numbers. Another thing, where does the industry leaders make us stand? Where do we stand for Gartner, for Interop, for ESG, right? For Gartner, we are in the leaders quadrant, and that's a quadrant that most of the enterprise IT managers look into when they are making a storage purchase. So we are very much there. We are in the leaders quadrant. We entered the quadrant in 2014, and today in 2019 we are in the leaders quadrant. So for sure, the technology that we are bringing is being accepted by our customers. In terms of the Interop, we received the grand prize for 2019 show, and that's some really good achievement from our side. As well as for ESG. ESG is the lab, Enterprise Strategy Group. They test various storages on different parameters and come up with a report. Now with ESG, they have given a very good recommendation for Huawei OceanStor Dorado series of storage for their reliability and performance. Now, for anyone in the industry today, data can be classified into 3 types, I would say, starting from the production or transaction data, that is the core of the business, and that's the most critical type of data an organization has, to big data or video data, which has a longer retention or a huge amount of data that is being generated. Or you talk about the edge data. So we all are here in UAE, we know SALIC. So every time there is a vehicle passes below the SALIC toll, it creates a incident, it creates a recording, and that's a huge amount of data that's being generated through there. So it's a huge storage portfolio that has to cover all 3 different verticals, because there is no one size fit all methodology. Every different product has to fit a particular segment. So today we are going to talk about production transaction data, which is the most critical. But nonetheless, Huawei has a portfolio that covers all 3 needs of our customers for production, big data, as well as edge data. This is the product portfolio that I'm talking about. We start with the hardware, obviously, because it's a storage. It has to sit on a physical infrastructure. So we talk about the all-flash storage. We talk about the hybrid storage, and we talk about the OceanStor distributed storage. Now, as I said, all flash or hybrid storage can go in the mission critical application. OceanStor distributed storage is something which fits in for the big data and cloud environment. And the third one is the edge data, which is our portfolio for the hyperconverged as well as the storage nodes. To manage all of this infrastructure, we have a dedicated layer called a data management layer, which includes device manager, which is a free of cost software that comes with the storage. Also, it has something called OceanStor DJ, which is to manage multiple storage systems that are deployed for our customers across different data centers. Even we can manage third-party heterogeneous systems under the OceanStor DJ. And the third one is called e-service, which is something related to a call home support in case your storage is not behaving properly, or there is some drive or component which is going to fail in next few days. It will send an alert automatically. So these are the tools that are available for you to manage your system efficiently. On top of that, you have different solution verticals. I would say intelligent data lake. You can have video cloud. You can have high performance computing, enterprise application acceleration, active data center, or backup to cloud. All of that is very well supported. As I mentioned in my previous slide, I'm going to talk about the all flash, because that's where the key technology innovations are happening for all the vendors, and how we are differentiating. I will highlight those key points for you. Now, all flash, as we know, all flash is not a new name in the industry today. It has been there for quite some time now, and we have seen the adoption of flash as well over the past few years. So there are some obvious benefits that flash brings onto the table, which can be in terms of the latency, which can be in terms of the low fault rate, or which can be in terms of the lower power consumption. But what every vendor has its own SSD storage today. But what Huawei brings onto the table, what Huawei innovates onto those SSD drives, is what I'm going to cover. So overall, if you look at it, it reduces your TCO by 50% for a Huawei all-flash storage. So I'll talk about these three key innovations, which is chip level innovation, architecture level innovation, as well as the business innovations, business benefits, I would say. Now, all flash, as I said, it's being adopted for our customers over the past few years. It's not a new name. It has been there for tier 0 applications. Now, tier 0 applications are something which have a very specific IOPS density, which has a very specific latency requirements and reliability requirements. So for a bank, tier 0 can be online transactions. For a manufacturing, it can be an ERP system or CRM. For carriers, it can be billing systems, right? For tier 1, obviously it's slightly reliable, slightly relaxed. So you can have lesser IOPS density, considerably acceptable latencies, and simpler reliability requirements. Now we have seen tier 0 and tier 1 applications are already converted into flash. But over the last couple of years, we have seen tier 0 applications also using flash in some form for our customers these days. Why this is happening, why flash is becoming more adapted, more accepted by the customers, is two things. One, the technology as such has become mature, so people can put their all of the customers they know that there's a roadmap for flash and it is going in a specific direction. Second point is the cost. It is coming down drastically. So the cost of a flash storage is coming down, and that's where people are, instead of going for a hybrid storage, it makes sense to go for a all flash storage these days. What Huawei Dorado brings to you is three key things. So if you are making a storage purchase decision today, it has to be all flash, because Gartner predicted in 2017 that by 2022, all the customers will have flash in their environment. And that is very, very true. That is becoming accepted. That is becoming true. We can see that in 2020 already. All the customers are already very, very knowledgeable, and they want to know more about flash. They want to accept flash in their environment. So we talk about three key parameters. The Everfast, which talks about the performance parameter of any storage. So Huawei brings to you the fastest performing storage in the industry today. And when I say fastest performance, I don't only talk about IOPS. I talk about a very important terms for enterprise application, that is the latency. So we are talking about 20 million IOPS with 0.1 millisecond latency today. That's the benchmark for a Dorado. The second is the ever solid. The storage has to be reliable. There's no second thoughts about it, because that's going to host most amount of your of 7 out of 8 controller failure. That's something unique in the industry today. That architecture is not there with anyone, and we call this architecture SmartMatrix. So it's a fully end-to-end connected architecture called SmartMatrix that we have in our Dorado V6. And the third is called AI powered. As I said, we have our storage with artificial intelligence chip sitting inside. So this AI powered brings the best out of your storage by giving you some meaningful data much faster, and learning on a regular basis based on your access patterns. So I'll go one by one into each three key messages to give you more insight how we are delivering that. So first, let's talk about the Everfast. We know there are two things that combine together, that are mixed together to bring out the best storage. One is the hardware and another is the software. Now we have seen hardware is as important. We know hardware is as important as software. So we bring out a lot of hardware level innovations or chip level innovations in our storage. Be it a transmission chip, which is a dedicated network chip which reduces your network latency, or be it a Kunpeng 920 processor. So now this processor is a new addition to the Dorado family. From V6, we have introduced this Kunpeng 920, which brings out more performance, which bring out more horsepower to your storage, than its predecessor. The third one is called AI chip. Now this AI chip again is a piece of hardware that's on the controller. This assesses your data access patterns or your application data access pattern and prefetches the data into the cache to increase your read hit ratios by up to 50%. So it's already a flash, With this AI chip, there's a learning mechanism which increases your read performance by up to 50%. So that's putting additional cherry on top of an already fast performing storage. But the AI chip is not confined only to the this particular feature. There are other things that AI do, which I will cover in the separate slides. Now let's talk about the fourth, which is the storage. We have now, it is worth to know that SSDs that go inside a Huawei storage are manufactured by Huawei itself. So we are as a vendor, we manage the whole system from our side by putting SSDs as well as the processors that are manufactured by Huawei. Now this SSD, each SSD that is there in the storage has a SSD controller chip. This chip has a significant task to do. If you know all flash, there is a feature called flash translation layer algorithm that used to run in a controller of the storage traditionally. Now by putting this dedicated chip, we are offloading that from the controller to the SSD. By doing that, we are helping our customers in two ways. One is it increases the synchronization, for getting you better synchronization between the compute and the storage. And the second one, by putting Huawei manufactured SSD, we are controlling the overall cost of the device, because SSD is one of the expensive components of a storage system. As Mr. Usman said, in the comparison that they did with different vendors, they realized that Huawei storage is bringing the best all-flash storage system at a very good price point as well. So you can get benefit out of both. And the last one is the BMC chip to identify the faults more accurately by up to 30% better accuracy. This is about chips. Let's talk about the algorithm, which is the software part of the storage. Now we have something called FlashLink, and this is again not new. This has been there for past few generations. With this Kunpeng and many core algorithm that we are running today, it gives you better performance, better computing power. We also have something called service splitting. So we are using something called service splitting with Kunpeng to help us get faster reconstruction. And this faster reconstruction means reconstructing 15 minutes, 1 terabyte of data. That's a big benchmark. No one in the industry can do that today. Now, if you ask me why it is important today the data reconstruction has not been a subject of discussion over the past few years, but we are talking about it now, is because the capacities are increasing. So if you look at an all-flash storage today, we are talking about a capacity of 7.68, 15 point something. So larger the capacity, the time to reconstruct the data is higher. That's why we are very much emphasizing this fact that it has to reconstruct faster. Then comes the AI chip with the cache adoption algorithm. Now this AI chip, which is a hardware, works with this algorithm to identify the type of data and access patterns and prefetches. Now it also helps something called an adaptive deduplication. So we are not using fixed length or variable length deduplication always. We are using something called adaptive. So based on your data type, it will automatically adopt whether it has to have a fixed length deduplication or variable length deduplication. We never write our storage with one single sequential write, large sequential write. We never write small random writes. We always form it into a large sequential write and then flush it onto the SSDs. By doing that, we are increasing the life of the SSDs and also the performance of the storage. Kunpeng, with the help of Kunpeng, we do something called multi-streaming. Now this multi-streaming is a feature which helps us separate the data or write the data in two streams. One is metadata and another one is called user data. By doing that, we can achieve efficient garbage collection for our storage system. And last but not the least, we have our IOs giving priority by the system. So for a read, it is given the topmost priority. For write, it can be a second priority. So every IO that hits the controller has been assigned a priority based on the priority list. Now let's talk about the second parameter called the ever solid. Now this ever solid is talking about the reliability mechanism. We have different level of reliability, starting from the SSD to the architecture level, from up to the cloud level. So on the SSD level, as I said, we are manufacturing our own SSDs for the storage system, so we can do certain innovations there. So global anti-wear labeling is a feature that is one of such innovations that is patented by Huawei. The second is on the architecture level. As I said, we are using something called SmartMatrix, which is a fully interconnected architecture. With the help of that, we can tolerate 7 out of 8 controller failures. The third one is the system level reliability. Now we know there are a lot of enterprise class features that are required in all the storage system, be it non-flash or all flash. Now we have all those features, be it hyper replication, which used to replicate between the two sites, snapshots, cloning, vaulting of data, all of that is part of the system, and it has been there for a very long time. Now, another thing that we support, which is something unique, is we support triple drive failure. So we have something called RAID TP, triple parity. So in a RAID group, you can afford to lose 3 hard drives. Then let's talk about the solution level reliability. We have something called gateway free active solution, as Mr. Usman, again, it was a really good presentation, and he highlighted how active solution can help the customers. Now, if as a customer, you don't want your DR sites to be sitting idle and waiting for something to happen to primary to take over, right? It's almost you are not using those resources all over the year. Now, what if there is a possibility to use active data center? So your both resources are being utilized, and in case of one goes down for some reason, you can switch over to the other one seamlessly. That's something we call hyper metro, and that's a very, very cool feature to have, and it helps you bring out the best of your investment. Then comes the FlashEver program. I have a dedicated slide on this next. I will cover that. And then we talk about the cloud level backup, which is gateway free cloud level backup. Now, by doing all of this reliability, you can get up to 99.59% of solution level reliability from the storage, which is really impressive. So this is the architecture I was talking about. I'll not go very deep into it now. It's a complete end-to-end active architecture that we have. But on the right hand side, there is a table that compares Dorado architecture with couple of vendors available in the market today. So we talk about tolerating 1 controller failure. All of us can do that. Tolerating 2 controller failure, vendor E cannot achieve that today. And when we talk about 7 out of 8 controller failure, only Huawei can do that, not even vendor E or H. So that's the architecture comparison we have done with the closest competition that we have in the market today. And we have, for sure, it's a unique thing to talk to your customers and to talk to your peers as well. Now this talks about the FlashEver program. As I mentioned, as a customer, you always have this cycle of replacing your infrastructure because the infrastructure is now obsolete, or it is out of support. Of data migration and sometimes the service disruption as well. With Huawei, we are coming up with something called FlashEver program. So you can have your Dorado V6 today, and whenever we come up with V7 or V8, you get free of cost upgrade to the next generation of hardware. Now that's something cool. You can do that individually for the controller as well as the SSD shelf. You don't have to rip and replace the whole system altogether. And there is no data disruption. There is no service disruption because we are not migrating the data. It is very much compatible. The disk shelf that you are buying today with V6 will be compatible with V7 and V8. So you don't have to move the data. You just have to upgrade the controller to the next version. This slides talk about the third parameter, which is the AI. So we are talking about 3 levels of AI here. Device level, which is taken care by the device manager of your system for single device information. So again, you can do a lot of things here like intelligent decision making using performance indicators, firmware status, SLA monitoring, or you can go to the central level AI where you can have multiple Huawei storages in your environment and you want to manage all of them from a single pane of glass and find out where is your what is your usable capacity, what is your orphan capacity that is not being utilized, make intelligent analytics on your storages, multiple storages to make smarter purchase decisions. Then comes the third, which is the cloud level AI. Now this cloud level AI is defined by something called e-service. There are a lot of Huawei systems running globally, and we getting a lot of information based on what are the fault rates, in case of any faults, fingerprinting of that fault, analyzing the data. So you can get prediction of your capacity up to 365 days in advance. You can get prediction for your drive failures 14 days in advance. So by doing all of that, you can really make the best out of your storage. Now, last thing we talk about is the support. As the support is one of the key aspects of any vendor, and it defines how the customers are going to pursue the device, pursue the platform. We have something called tax support, which is available 24/7 for our customers, and there are 3 global tax we have. We have hardware support with a lot of national spare parts center as well as city level spare part warehouses. Online support is always available to you. It's just a click away. You have all the documentation, software, patches. You can download your license keys, all of that using the online support. And then there is an on-site support where Huawei engineers are there to help you with any of the data migration or implementation tasks. So we can achieve this by personal process as well as the platform. That's it from my side. Thank you so much for listening in, and I hope you will have some questions which you can ask, and we'll be more than glad to answer on the chat window. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Over to you.
Thank you, Niraj. Another superb presentation. I think you delivered and articulated your points excellently. I know it can be hard to get across all your points within a rigid time frame, but I think you did a great job, and I'm sure our attendees found your presentation both informative and engaging. So thanks for that, Niraj. It's now time for our panel discussion. So I'd like to invite back on screen Dia, Michelle, and Sudhir as we discuss Huawei's intelligent infrastructure. During today's session, we've heard a lot about data centers, storage, servers, hyperconverged infrastructure. And as Niraj said in his presentation earlier, we're now entering an era in which we're witnessing an explosive growth in data. Data storage is critical. We all know a successful business is one that is data driven, but due to the exponential growth of data, many enterprises are finding it difficult to manage all their data storage in a cost-effective way. But to shed some light on these issues, I'm going to speak to our IT leaders, Michelle, Dia, and Sudhir, to find out more. Sudhir, I'm going to come to you first. As the CTO of the Cloud and AI Business Group for Huawei Middle East, you're playing a key role in this space and this new vertical called intelligent infrastructure. But what I want to find out from you is how the storage industry has evolved and changed in the past 5 years, and what do you predict will happen in the storage industry over the next 5 years?
Yeah, Mark, thank you very much for the question, and good morning to everyone who is attending the webinar. So talking about the industry changes for the past 5 years, you can experience the adoption of all-flash storage, which happened. And from our customer, Mr. Usman, he was talking about the price comparison between all flash and the traditional hybrid flash. So the price difference is narrowed down. So we had experienced the adoption of all flash storage. And in the coming 5 years, what we experience is an acceleration of digital transformation based on 5G, cloud, and artificial intelligence. You have seen this one in Neeraj's presentation. So in that, when you have more and more vertical industry solutions coming into place, the latency also will be playing a big role. So in terms of all flash, customers should focus on NVMe end-to-end storage solutions. So that will help you to get the latency reduced to millisecond, even 0.1 millisecond level. So that will be the trend for the coming 2 to 3 years in all flash. And moreover, you heard about the explosive data growth, which is expected in the coming 2 to 3 years. That is going to be 8 to 10 times. And even in that 8 to 10 times increase, you will find more than 80% of the data is going to be unstructured. So you need to have a highly scalable software-defined storage. As Neeraj explained from the product portfolio, he mentioned that one as distributed storage. So you need a highly scalable distributed storage with the support of multiple protocol to handle the structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. And the third point, before I conclude, that is the efficiency of the storage. So now, with the current infrastructure, current storage infrastructure, one storage administrator can handle 1 petabyte of data today. But storage has to increase the efficiency to take a self-decision making capability, which will help us to get the 1 petabyte storage capable for one personnel increased to 5 petabyte per person. So that has to be achieved by the AI capability, which has to be built within the storage. So that will make the storage to take self-decisions so that manual intervention is not that much required. So these are all the trends which is going to happen in the coming 3 to 5 years. Over to you, Mark.
That's brilliant, Sudhir. Thanks for that. And as you touched on there, 80% of the data is going to be unstructured. So there's obviously a huge demand for this type of solution. I've just seen questions come in, and you've indicated that you'd like to answer it live. Would you like to take that question now, Sudhir?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's a questions came in from one of our attendees, and it said, what is the maximum capacity of SSD, and is there any fixed life for the SSD?
Yeah, this is really a good question to answer also. Like currently we support 16 terabyte of SSD, which is available today to configure. And very soon we will be having a 32 TB drive. So we are getting higher capacity drives, and there is 64 TB drive in the roadmap. And talking about the lifespan of SSD, that is all depend on the number of writes. So we call it, compared to the traditional architecture, in a spinning drive, your data can be overwritten at any point in time. But in SSD life, you need the existing data to be erased before you write it. So the number of program and erase, or write or erase, is the deciding factor of life of an SSD. So when manufacture SLC, MLC, QLC, and all these different type of SSDs, they will mention that you can support 10,000 program arrays or 25,000 program arrays. So if you have a data writes per day calculation, so generally if we take it as per day, there is 1 write happening, then it will take that many days to finish the life cycle. So to summarize, it's all depend on the number of writes which is happening into SSDs. So it's based on the behavior of storage.
Thanks for that, and obviously thanks to our attendee for a great question. So obviously all the attendees on this call, please feel free to reach out to the guys on the interactive chat function, and they'll touch base with you regarding any of the questions and queries that you may have. So Michelle, I'm going to return to you. Thanks for your presentation earlier. Really enjoyed it. You covered a wide range of topics, but I want to ask you, how are Intel accelerating, what we've talked about and what we've heard, called data-centric transformation? Can you give us a little bit of an insight into that?
Yeah, sure, Mark. Great question. Of course, we hear it all the time, and we see, people asking the same. So it's good to cover this one. So in order to answer this question, I would like to very briefly describe our strategy, Intel's strategy for handling data. Okay, so what we do is we have something we call it the move, and then store and process. Okay, so those are the 3 steps for data. So we move data using our products, like our Intel Ethernet products, like our photonics, Omnipath, and so on. And then we store the data using our SSDs or our memory products and so on, like Intel Optane or Intel SSDs. And finally, we process the data, and we process the data using our various processors, starting from our low entry level, our Intel Atom processors, up to the XEON Scalable that is deployed in a data center. And of course, the process is not only about just handling data, it's also the AI, FPGA, and so on. So all those products are part of the strategy that we call that the move, store, and process. So now those products or components make what we call them the common physical platform layer. Okay, so what that means is that I can manage all those resources, whether it is an IoT device or a data center or a remote location. So I want to make sure that I can move the data if needed to anywhere I want. I want to store it in the most effective way, and I want to compute everything that I'm getting, right? Whether it is on a wearable device or an edge computing device or a Xeon processor in a data center running an AI application, a workload, you name it. So what we have is a full stack of physical hardware appliances, components available for our partners so they can consume them in their final product. So together with our OEM partners, we are able to deliver this workload optimized performance with built-in AI acceleration and hardened security for an industry-leading ecosystem. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. So the three kind of core pillars, as you say, is move, storage, and processes, and that's
and we cover the whole 9 yards when it comes to data, which is
that's fantastic. That's why you're a leader. So anyway, thanks for that, Michelle. I'll come back to you a little bit later on. So Dia, I'm gonna come to you now. So obviously, in your expert opinion, Dia, can you outline to our attendees here today how can Huawei help customers, adopt this new cloud trend, and are Huawei's partners ready to go along with this journey? I just think you need to unmute, Dia.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
okay.
Can you hear you now? Fire away. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for this question. Actually, this is a question that we receive every day from our customers. And I would like to start by saying that cloud computing is part of a bigger picture, which is the digital transformation. Okay. Of course, cloud is a trend that nobody can ignore, with the more than 78% cloud deployment adoption year over year. Nobody can ignore, but there are certain challenges that we see. First and foremost, and until further notice, on-premise will continue to exist. People think that on-premise are going to vanish soon. They look into the number, they look into the sales, but the reality that on-premise will continue to exist because of the security, because of the compliance. And thanks to Intel being able to squeeze more and more performance on the silicon, and thanks to Huawei R&D, we are able to squeeze more and more data in storage, and the huge reduction in cost. This is what may seem for people that on-premise is, I would say, declining, but the reality is that it will continue to exist. So this is one angle when we consider cloud, that Mr. Customer, you have an on-premise, how you will integrate this with your cloud strategy. Second, what we see now becoming more and more common, that there are so many cloud providers, and customer looks, when they want to move to the cloud, they want to achieve benefit in terms of cost, of manageability, of performance, of better economics, depending on the deployment that they were looking for when they move their certain workload to the cloud. So today, cloud is not only one option. Customers are considering multiple cloud providers to seek the best out of each cloud provider and be able to integrate multiple cloud platform in their environment. So taking these two factors into consideration, we work with customers, okay? And we will start with the basics, which is like I presented in my slide. We go back to the cornerstone of the digital transformation. We start by looking into modernizing and standardizing the infrastructure of the customer, okay? Because once it's standard, once it's modern, it will be able to talk to each other, communicate with each other, whether on the same data center or across different data centers. Second, virtualize and automate, because this is again the protocol, how people will talk to each other, how people will be able to move from one platform to another, whether on-premise, out-premise, or from one cloud to another cloud, you know. And during this process, as we explained, AI plays a very important role, because the amount of data, the amount of services to be managed goes explosive, okay? And customers now are very, wants more and more, and want to be able even to move from one cloud to another in real time, because one platform is delivering lower cost point of view, or perhaps providing better performance for certain workload. So all this only be able to manage by AI and through the integration with for the user integration, user experience. Okay. So this is why we work with our partner, and this is where partners play a very important role, because there are so many elements in this architecture where we don't control, and we have to rely on partners to be able to provide this different element, and more important, to integrate those different elements across a different platform. So this is my answer I give to my customers. Hand over to you, Mark.
That's brilliant. Dia, thanks a million for that. A very comprehensive answer. And I think you talked a lot about cost there. And I think in this current climate, I think we'll all agree that people are really looking to maximize, if they're making investments in cost, and make sure they're getting the most value out of that. So I think it was a very, very relevant point to make at this time. So thanks for that, Dia. I'm going to come back to you, Sudhir, now. And obviously, Dia spoke a lot there about infrastructure and stuff. So I want to ask you about, where does flash storage stand with regards to hyper-converged when data centers today are moving forward with hyper-converged infrastructure? So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, Mark. Yeah, actually, hyper-converged infrastructure is storage technology adopted these days. But as I mentioned earlier, flash storage will continue serving the high performance requirement of your database and applications. So this is going to stay, and hyper-converged infrastructure will go to the edge DCs. As Neeraj explained in his presentation, edge will have more collection of data which is happening, and that data will be moved to the central location or a regional data center to do centralized storage and management. So to do that, you have petabyte level data coming into that particular storage, and you need to have a hyperconverged storage, hyperscale storage to manage this in the central data center. So moreover, a software-defined storage should have the capability of expanding computing and storage separately. So the edge will be positioned with hyperconverged, and the central DC will be positioned with a software-defined storage with high scalability. And in that storage, you need to have a capability of expanding computing power or storage power separately, because customer has to make their investment protected. So in a hyperconverged and to do this, because whenever they need, a customer need computing or storage, both computing and storage has to be upgraded. So that is a waste of money or resources. Generally speaking, in many scenarios, you will find the storage is used 80% or 90%, but computing is still on 20 to 30%. So you will find the gap. So what I'm coming to say that HCI will not be a solution to do it on a central DC with its limitation. So it is very much limited into the edge DCs. That is what I wanted to explain on that.
Okay. Yeah,
over to you, Mark.
And I think that was a good answer again. I think you explained the whole expansion and the need for users or enterprises to have that ability to expand. So thanks for that, Sudhir. So I'm going to come back to you, Michelle. Obviously, in your presentation, you talked about the long history of partnership between Huawei and Intel since 2001. So what I want to ask you just is, how are you guys innovating together to develop scalable platforms to serve all industries? I know you touched upon it briefly in your presentation, but maybe you can expand on that for us.
Yeah, sure, Mark. So as mentioned before with this slide, 20 years, of collaboration and partnership is really a long journey. And, the point is, when we talk about innovation with our OEM partners and our, close, if you want, customers who are delivering products. So our strength is not only with the products, of course, that we do. Of course, we have our cutting edge products, our XEON processors, that are delivering, the best performance in the market, but also our ecosystem partners is very important. So our ecosystem that we have, been building for more than 50 years is our really strength. The product is something, but the ecosystem is something else. And Huawei is part of this ecosystem that can help us deliver, our innovation to our customers. So aligned with our data-centric transformation, Huawei has been developing, compute, network, storage platform using our latest and greatest products, right? So for converged solutions, we mentioned before the scale up and out when it comes to platform, or for enterprise, or for data center, or for carrier, or for even client computing. So you can see they play in all fields, and they also have their relevant business units delivering their products for those industry. And from our side, with our scalable advantage, we make it easier for our customer to choose the right, system for the right workload, and to deploy a more consistent infrastructure with the agility to evolve as the need grows, right? So, of course, Huawei were collaborating with us and helping us innovating. Huawei is a key partner to us, and our future business growth opportunities are really aligned. Our collaboration covers, all the ground from cloud, network, video, AI, and we're celebrating our 20th anniversary of XEON processor this year, which, 20 years since we started with Intel and 20 years with our XEON processor. So, and Huawei ships Intel products since day one, which is, the key foundation of our past, present, and future path.
Yeah, no, I think you've summarized the relationship brilliantly there, and as you've touched upon, you've had a lot of success, and
it's my job.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're going to have even more success in the future together. Intel and Huawei, two incredible companies. So thanks for your time, Michelle. So finally, the last question of the day goes to CTO Sudhir. Just a generic enough question, but what is Huawei's AI computing strategy?
Oh, thank you very much, Mark. I'm really happy to answer this question. See, talking about Huawei's AI strategy, we have an end-to-end portfolio in this. And what we do is we build a platform, and on top of that, we bring the AI abilities with kind of programming platform and all that for developers. And we have a very strong ecosystem partners in place. As Huawei, as a single company, we will not be able to do it to the application level. So we need to have ecosystem partners also. So it's a Huawei platform plus AI plus ecosystem. And talking about AI stack, Huawei full stack AI, we do it from chip level to the application level. So, there is a device to edge and to the cloud collaboration. So as an example, we have Atlas 200 product as an acceleration module, which is used in cameras, drones, and robots. So that will come as the device support. And in the edge, we have products like Atlas 500. This is an edge station which support 16 HD channels, which can do the real analytics. So real analytics can be done with Atlas 500 on the edge. And this is a simple device without any fan or any such kind of things like a normal server, which can be fixed on a wall, on a sunlight or rainy places, not a problem. And when it is coming to the central DC for training and inference, we have different models like Atlas 800 and Atlas 900. So in short, we have a complete full stack AI solution, starting from the chip level to the application level with the help of ecosystem partners. I hope I answered your question, Mark.
On behalf of myself and CPI Media Group, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to moderate today's session. I've found it very informative and engagement. I've really enjoyed it. So I just want to thank you very much. I want to thank all our attendees for joining us today. I know everyone's very busy working, so it's not always easy to jump on to a virtual webinar for a couple of hours. So we really do appreciate everybody's time for joining us. And as I say, finally, on behalf of myself and CPI Media Group, I want to thank everyone. So I'll hand you back over to Dia. Maybe he wants to thank all you guys as well. So from me, thanks very much.